we in Philadelphia, we like when they win shorthanded. That's part of the reason I have a lot of pride for the Super Bowl team, right? I remember that Monday night game against Washington when Jordan Hicks goes down, and I think Peters goes down, and you get Big V playing the rest of the year, and the offensive line really doesn't miss a beat. Like that is what happens in football. Guys get hurt, and you need the depth. You need guys to be able to step up, whether it's for a short amount of time or a long amount of time, whatever. But it's clear that in these first 3 weeks, the Eagles have missed their game breakers, right? They have missed kind of the guy that you can just leave on an island on the right side of the offensive line, and AJ Brown hitting those big plays. And it's a little bit of a bummer because it's like you said, that game in Brazil, look, very small sample size, weird field. They had the whole offseason to prepare for it. That was a lot of fun. They were getting the ball to their playmakers and creating big plays. So
sure.
Here is a statement I will say. Like, do you think if somebody said to you, 90% of the Eagles' offensive issues are going to be solved by getting AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith, Lane Johnson back, you would say?
Probably not quite 90%, maybe like 55, 60%. I do think that a lot of that would get solved. The only thing that stinks about that, though, Rich, is that like I would be interested because to something we were talking about earlier. When you lose AJ Brown and you lose DeVonta, you lose Lane Johnson, like to me, you lean more into some of those schematic advantages, like the motion and the formation variation, all that stuff. You would lean more into that stuff to try and give yourself an edge. If you don't have talent advantage, then you need the schematic advantage, right? So if we had seen another game, like if they had to play this week, let's say they were playing the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, I don't know, like how many of those, would Lane Johnson have been cleared? Probably. Would DeVonta Smith have been cleared? We're not sure. AJ Brown, not sure, right? So, we don't really quite know what it would have looked like if they had to play a game on Sunday, but I would anticipate that, all right, those guys are all good to go next week. And if they did have they get together and have a meeting of the minds this week in the NovaCare complex and say, hey, we need to lean back into motion. We need to, incorporate more of that stuff into our offense. Is it going to be only because those stars were back in and now they're leaning back into it, or would it have happened anyway? But I do think that, like getting those guys back, I mean, the offense is going to be certainly better for it. I don't think it fixes every single problem because we saw almost all of those guys in week 2 when they struggled last. We just saw that defense get diced up last night by the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Great game.
I think when you look at this offense, like there are things that need to be fixed, and it's not just talent focused, but the talent certainly will help.
Yeah. And I think you've made a great point there with, I just would have liked to have seen Kellen Moore try a few more things in the past couple of weeks. Not to say it would have worked because, again, you are dealing with a talent deficit here, but it makes sense, right? All of those things we were promised, the under center play action, the motion, the bunch formations. It's surprising that when you have less talent, you go with the more basic stuff that worked for you for a couple of years because, hey, look, the quarterback had the clear picture and the talent on the outside was amazing. And, they won basically 75% of their games for 2 years. So it worked out. But that, it's funny. I'm going to compare it a little bit. As you pointed out in your piece this week, like Vic Fangio he's trying stuff, right? With the 3 defensive tackles on the line. Now we might say that might just be a hopeless situation anyway, but at least at least he's trying something and saying, all right, we're going to maybe be a little bit stronger against the run. And we'll have the one edge rusher on the edge. Yeah. I found that a little bit disappointing, the game plan overall, while also admitting it's going to be hard to move the ball without AJ and DeVonta, but yeah. So that's where I think I'm at there.
Yeah, I do think that this is an area where you want to see them try and find again, like what is it that you do well, and if what you do well, that was the kind of the conversation we had with Zach on Tuesday was hey, this is a star-driven team. Well, if you don't have those stars, then you need to find the advantage somewhere else, right? And so being able to have those levers that you can pull in those situations. They're clearly in the bag because we saw some things on over the course of the summer during training camp, and then in week 1 against Green Bay, where it's like, okay, like it's there, but how do you pull that out? In those situations where you need them, and so I think that's certainly something that we can hope to see here coming out of the bye. Now,
we all silly like the mayor.